This is Severe MMA. We're at Cage Warriors Unplugged, and we're alongside Leeroy Barnes. A sub 40 second.
Is that how quick it was?
A sub 40 seconds.
Felt longer.
Johnny Jits is the nickname. John Redmond.
I told you Johnny was going to get jitsued.
You
Said
said
it in an interview.
Could it have gone any better? In your wildest dreams, though,
No.
did you see it going like that?
Yeah, exactly like that. That's exactly what we planned in the gym, exactly what we drilled warming up, exactly what I was visualising. Paul had me with my eyes closed, Paul had me with my eyes closed, literally just before I walked out. He was talking me through it. That was exactly, literally, talk about manifesting things into reality or whatever, mate. That was exactly how we imagined it, and that's how it went, so.
I made the mistake on Twitter. I called it a rear naked choke because I was excited that the fight was over, but it was a guillotine.
A choke's a choke, mate.
But you got that. You got that on early. You found the neck early, and you were like a Rottweiler, refused to let go.
Yeah, well, the neck, it was arm in, which is my specialty guillotine anyway. I prefer it over just the neck, and it was tight. I knew he wasn't getting his head out, but what he does is he gives the head up. I've watched his fights, and he gives the head up because he likes to give the head so he can pass when you go for the guillotine. And knowing that I go for the guillotine a lot, we knew he would do that. So that's what I was expecting. Every time he went to pass the legs, I came to my knees to stand. And when he tried to drive me forward again, I tried to get the guard back. So he was just making sure he didn't pass the legs. I knew once I got my guard back, it was done. So
you've said in the past when we've caught off through your past few fights, you wanted somebody who was going to stand and bang, and you wanted to show off the ball. Was there, as you were preparing for this fight, did you think you'd need to stand up for this, or were you so convinced that Johnny was going to give up the neck that?
We wasn't convinced he was going to give up the neck. We weren't particularly looking for the choke. We were just looking for the takedown. And if we had to use 3 rounds to control him on the floor, that's what we would have done. But it was actually the choke I was actually working for him was the north-south, but the guillotine came. So, but he was just one of those things. Like I would have stood with him, and we did work if I couldn't take him down for the standing aspect, but. We sort of knew what he was going to do. We knew he was going to come straight out and kick, or at least feint a kick, and I was going to step in off that and take him straight down because I knew that I'd be the better grappler, to be honest.
Before your Cage Warriors re-debut against Victor Cheng, we'd caught up with you on the regional circuit again, and you were talking about how it was a new Leeroy. Yeah. I'm wondering how much Next Gen is playing into that, and Paul Rimmer. It seems that you seem very comfortable there now. You've had a bit more time than the last fight.
Yeah.
How much difference are they going to make to your game?
Well, our plan is we've sat down, we've talked, our plan is to get the Cage Warriors belt, and they believe we can do it, and I believe we can do it. And, it's not just, I've got a really good jiu-jitsu gym that I train at in Enigma BJJ, and then I still do my BJJ with them, and then I complement it with Paul, and they overlook all my MMA stuff, and I'm down there every morning. It's costing me a fortune. I travel to Liverpool every day, but it's worth it. And, Paul, all the guys down there treat me like family. They've really accepted me. And I trained with him before the Cheng fight. And after that fight, they said to me, listen, if you were down at our gym full time, you nearly had that fight. And, with a bit more work, we can get you there. If you want to come down, if you want to train with us full time, you're welcome. Come down the gym. And, that was it. I made a lot of changes. I left my management. Amicably, they did a lot for me in the past, but with them being a London firm, we're a bit detached. Still friends with everyone there. It's good, and Paul is just guiding everything now, and I do everything through Next Gen. So.
With no disrespect to that, because we know you've been a nomad, you've traveled, you've been to some teams. Yeah. Is Next Gen maybe the missing ingredient from a little while? Have they added something?
I think so. Yeah, I think the style down there of everyone that fights down there, Fishy, Paddy. Everyone has their own sort of individual style, but there's a recurring theme with everyone. And the thing is, Paul understands what I'm good at, and when we're trying to say do this and it works, do that and it works. Everything that he told me to do in the Cheng fight, which we'd only gone over really in the changing rooms. I'd trained with them, but they hadn't prepared me for the fight. I was more a training partner for all the guys down there, and it was sparring. And in the changing room, they warmed me up and they called me, and just the stuff went over in the changing room was a lot of the stuff that I used in the Cheng fight that worked, that stopped the takedown, that stopped everything else. So, everything he says, I just do it. Everything he said, I could hear him saying in the corner was, get to your knees, don't let him pass the legs, keep the neck, everything, start fast. So
again, it's no secret. Again, all people have to do is look back to Almighty when you were saying, I'm looking for gold. I'm coming to make a run.
Belt. Yeah, that's
who. Again, it's the question I always ask, the one that people don't like. But what makes sense next? What name does it matter?
Cage Warriors will come back to Paul with someone, and Paul will take it or not. I didn't even take this fight. I got a text saying Paul had accepted this fight for me. I didn't think I'd be out till April, but if Paul says you're fighting like I've turned down guys with better records, not because they're a harder fight, because they're an easier fight, and I don't want that. I thought Johnny was a test. I don't like fighting taller guys. I wanted to fight a taller guy that was a test. He was 6'3".
Yeah,
I'm 5'11". Yeah. He's rangy, and he's a really tough guy. I'm a fan of him. He's a good guy. I've watched his fights, and he's game. And I was excited for the fight, but as well, I was more scared about this fight than I have been for a lot of fights. Like I was panicking backstage.
Yeah?
I had to be. Paul had to talk me down a little bit. So.
Well, whatever he said to you, it reaped some magic. Because Leeroy, you looked dominant in there today.
I felt it as soon as I walked out. I felt I had some great support that came down to the studio tonight. Who had other stuff on, they moved it around. I had, my friend Logan Sama down, Solo 45, BBK, those guys. There's a lot of guys came down. They've shut off now. They've got their own stuff to do, their own shows to do and stuff. But they came and supported, and I felt like I had to put a show on for them and everyone that believes in me.
I heaven forbid I mentioned Bama at a Cage Warriors, but I'm going to anyway. I can remember though we spoke to when you said we talked at another promotion.
You don't want to get banned from the show.
I don't mind. But what we talked about was Leeroy, a happy Leeroy Barnes is a dangerous Leeroy Barnes. Yeah. That was a good 2 years ago. How much happier are you now?
My life can't really get much better at the moment, to be honest. I reevaluated a lot, and we spoke before about how write everything down, everything has been reevaluated, and it has. And my life's just good. Everything's positive. I love my life. I'm blessed and I'm grateful to live the life that I live, and I've overcome a lot of stuff, and it'll just keep going from strength to strength now.
Leeroy, we look. Hopefully, you get to put on a little bit of weight over Christmas, but then.
I always stay in shape now. I don't do that anymore. I don't go out partying. I don't, I live a good, healthy lifestyle, and I'm reaping the rewards. So
enjoy a few days of downtime, get back in the gym, and we look forward to seeing you ply your trade again. Leeroy, that was an awesome performance.